The letter never sent, Harold Bennett sat at his desk by the window, the late afternoon sun casting a golden haze over the paper in front of him. His hand, veined and trembling with age, gripped the fountain pen that had been with him for decades. He had written this letter 100 times in his mind, but today the words finally spilled onto the page. "Dear Margaret," he began. 40 years had passed since he last saw her. They were both just 20 then, full of plans and promises. Margaret had wanted to move to Chicago for art school. Harold had been set to take over his father's hardware store in Ohio. They promised they would try to make it work, but letters grew fewer, phone calls stopped, and eventually life swept them onto separate shores. Harold married, had children, and buried his wife 5 years ago. Margaret, he'd heard from a mutual friend, had moved west, painted landscapes, and, whether she had married or not, remained a mystery to him. As the pen scratched across the paper, Harold poured out what he had carried for decades. How he still remembered the sound of her laughter echoing through the summer fields. How he sometimes caught the faint scent of lilacs and thought of the perfume she used to wear. How, despite the years, a part of him had remained hers. He ended the letter simply, "I do not know if you think of me anymore, Margaret, but I want you to know that, after all these years, I never stopped." He folded the page carefully, slid it into an envelope and wrote her name. Just her first name, no address, no stamp. Harold placed it in the top drawer of his desk, where it lay alongside old photographs and birthday cards from his children. He closed the drawer gently, almost tenderly, as though tucking something precious to sleep. Days passed, then months. Each time Harold opened the drawer, the letter was there, staring back at him. He thought of mailing it countless times, but each time doubt whispered, what if she's gone? What if she doesn't remember? What if the life she built has no room for ghosts of the past? And so the letter remained, silent and unsent. One crisp autumn evening, Harold walked through the town square, the trees blazing with red and orange leaves. He passed couples holding hands, with laughter spilling from the cafe where he and Margaret once shared milkshakes. He smiled faintly, feeling both the weight of loss and the strange comfort of carrying her memory. Years later, when Harold's children sorted through his things after he was gone, they found the letter. The paper had yellowed, the ink slightly faded, but the words were still clear, raw, alive. One of his daughters held it to her chest and whispered, "He must have loved her very much." And somewhere, in a quiet corner of time, perhaps Margaret felt a sudden warmth in her heart, as if a whisper from the past had reached her after all.